Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 100 of Gaston's Great. Yes, shockingly, I said episode 100. I'm stunned that we have made it this far. But if you don't know, Gaston's Great is a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County, except for today's episode. I'm your host, Stephen Long, normally, and we are coming to you from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. And this is normally where I introduce who we're interviewing or speaking to today, but apparently Amy and Naomi have turned the tables and I am being interviewed. They've convinced me that this would be a good idea for episode 100.
Yes.
So, normally, I don't remember. I don't know what I normally say at that point, but apparently Naomi is in charge today, and we have Amy back in the room for this one for some reason. And it looks like you notice the top of your drink is not on properly. That would be bad if you spilled the drink in the middle of our podcast. So, Miss Naomi, do you have anything to say before you put me on the spot?
Well, thank you for being a part of the podcast today. We appreciate you, sir. And I guess we'll just go right into it.
You're welcome. I'm really glad to be here.
Listen.
I'm not sure this might be our very last episode, and with zero people that listen to this one.
No, it's going to be the best one. It's going to be the best one. Also, disclaimer, when I get nervous, I sound a little bit more country. So I don't think that's possible. I'm just letting you know, be prepared.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, if that's possible, I'm really interested to hear this.
It's a struggle. Oof. Okay. So, first question. As the host of Gaston's Great, tell us a little bit about yourself, something people don't know.
So, if you've listened to any of the podcast, I think over time you've probably heard a lot of this already, but I am a native of Gaston County. I'm a product of Gaston County Public Schools. I love Gaston County. Went to Ashbrook High School. Was lucky enough to go on to NC State University, which I know many of our listeners know that part. And I am married to the wonderful Janet McBride. We have 3 terrific children, 2 who have graduated college, 1 who is about to start her senior year of high school. And I'm very fortunate to work here in a family business here at GSM Services. And I don't know. Otherwise, I'm a pretty boring guy.
That's just it.
Yeah. Yep.
So I know on some of our podcast episodes you've said this, but maybe not everybody has heard this before. But what was your purpose for starting Gaston's Great?
All right. Trying to make a long story short, we started doing things with Gaston's Great many years ago, actually, with Jesse Cole. Many of you remember Jesse, who was one of the owners of the Gastonia Grizzlies, the college baseball team we had here, and we were doing. Jesse and my brother Joel and I were doing videos across the county highlighting some of the good things happening, like locations. Like if you go on YouTube, you can still find them if you just search for Gaston's Great, or I think it's on there. Is it on our YouTube channel as well? Gaston's Great or GSM Services website? YouTube channel.
Yeah.
If they're not, they need to be on there. But we went to places like the Shoe Museum and Community Foundation Run and Gaston County, City of Gastonia Parks and Rec. Crowder's Mountain. Remember that? We almost got kicked off the mountain. Amy, were you there? Yeah, that was before your time. Oh, that was a long time before your time. Sorry. So we that kind of, over time you do 15 or 20 of those over time, and so we all and that kind of fizzles out. You want to do something else, and then Jesse moved on. And we still own the URL, and we kind of in the background, we would replay those videos every now and then. And then COVID comes along, which is something that I try not to talk about any longer. And then, and I'm a big podcast listener. If I'm in my vehicle or jogging, you can pretty much assume that I'm listening to a podcast. So I assumed I could do a podcast because I listen to so many, maybe.
We're at 100. We're at 100.
Yeah, so again, surprisingly. But, early on in COVID, I just was seeing so much negativity, so many interactions, and felt like through society we kind of lost a little bit of grace for each other. I mean, it was such a strange time in my view, and so I guess Amy and I started talking about this probably 2020 sometime, and then we finally got the nerve up in, I guess, March of 2021 to record the first episode. And I was simply trying to highlight positive things going on in and around Gaston County. It really was that simple. There was no other ulterior motive or, because I knew my involvement with the community. I knew there were a lot of really organizations that were doing a lot of great work and people who were doing a lot of great work around Gaston County. And we just wanted to highlight that and to intentionally try to counteract some of the, other things you might hear over the years about Gaston County and then just kind of how things were going in general in society. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I know I got married in 2020 and in March of 2020, everything shut down. So that was about a year after that we were dealing with COVID and all that.
Not a good omen for your marriage.
Right. I literally was on the cruise ship and was like, why is everybody sick? Okay, cool. So you say it all the time, headquarters of GSM Services, but how long have you been with GSM Services? What's the background? Who are you with GSM?
So officially, permanently, I've been with GSM as of June of this year, 30 years. But I think I was 14 or 15 the first summer I ever worked here. It is my brother and our business, family business. My parents owned it and worked here for many years. Our grandfather owned it previously, and then he was actually in business with a few other gentlemen previous to that. So, maybe one of the funny stories is, I think my brother Joel was always going to work here. I was never going to work here, no matter what. And then there was a recession. There was a little bit of a recession right when I graduated college in '93. So I started working here temporarily while I looked for other jobs. And the other side of that story is my future wife graduated college from UNC Chapel Hill and got a job here locally. So, that was, again, 30 years ago or so.
That's more than I've been alive. Did you know that?
Does that not deserve some kind of sound effect?
I was going to say it, but I had to wait.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed more than once that I got married the year you were born, right?
The year I was born. Yeah. And you graduated, the year Amy was born?
Yeah. 1988? Yeah. I graduated high school the year Amy was born and got married the year Naomi was born. That's great. I really appreciate how y'all pump me up and make me feel
welcome. We're here. We're here to give you that joy.
So that's a little bit of background of GSM Services, and again, I just extremely fortunate to be here for so long, and nobody has ran me off yet.
Right, same. Been here for almost 4 years. Praise God, not 30, but 4. Okay, so I know that Gaston's Great is mostly about nonprofits, things like that, or it has been. So how many nonprofits have you been a part of in your life?
All right, so I had to look this one up and make some notes, but there were 8 that I have served directly on the board or a leadership position. But when I really counted the other ones I volunteered with or had some type of involvement, some event or something, actually I couldn't count all of them. So I'm not sure why that's the case, but when I tried to think of all of them, I couldn't. I mean, and many of the ones that we've had on the podcast in the past almost 2.5 years now are organizations that I've had some type of involvement with, but specifically 8 that I've served directly on their boards.
Oh, that makes me tired thinking about it. So out of the 8, I guess, what intrigued you so much about serving on nonprofits? Why serve so much and give so much of your time?
Well, part of it was just ingrained in us, I think, from our parents partially, and the community has been so good to GSM. We just, we try to be intentional about that involvement and giving back. And, some of it is the need in the community and somebody's got to step up and do it. But also, sometimes it's fun. I mean, sometimes, can be a little selfish because I get a lot out of that service. I've met so many great people. So it's just and I think it's just something that's been ingrained in our DNA, so to speak, here at GSM, but also personally through our family that what's the point of doing what we do if we're not able to be involved and get back to community and try to, make this a little better place if we can.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, I came from a small town, so nonprofits aren't really a big thing.
Right.
And so since working at GSM, and especially in the marketing division, it's just like opened up my eyes a little bit. I'm like, man, there's a lot of good things that I don't even know if it's going on in my hometown, you know? So I just think it's cool.
It is something that can easily get out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one point where I was on 4 boards at the same time, and that was a mistake. That was a little bit too much, so I probably didn't give the best effort to all 4 of those that I should have at the time. And now I'm down to back officially only on 1 board at the moment, but I'm involved with other organizations directly on a weekly basis. Are you yawning? Amy's yawning in the middle of our recording.
I guess we're bored. Dang.
That riveting story that Stephen's telling.
That heart just hit it right there.
Welcome to a day at GSM.
Okay,
Stephen talks and everybody yawns.
Everybody yawns. I cannot. Well, I guess that leads us to our next question. So tell us about a time during your service with nonprofits that was super impactful, something you'll never forget.
Okay, this was a good one because I could name 10 to 15. I mean, there were so many things I could name, but there was one specific thing I was involved with in my Rotary Club here, which is the Thursday Rotary Club of Gastonia, that I was able to do, I think, 4 different times back in the late 2000s and maybe early 2010s. It was an event called the Flight of Honor organization that we got involved with, where we would fly World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. to specifically see the World War II memorial. That was relatively, it's the most recent memorial that's been built in D.C. And getting to do that 4 different times was extremely impactful. And something I feel strongly about, whether it's military, veterans, law enforcement. Is just something that I personally trying to support those type of things. But that was probably the most impactful individual thing that I've gotten to do. But I mean, I've gotten to travel out of the country on mission trips. I mean, with Rotary as well. And then just being involved in so many things. So I could talk about that probably for the next hour, but I will not.
Hey, it's all about nonprofits, or it has been so. Okay, so you've said this before, did you think we'd ever get to 100 episodes?
No.
And
we had no concept when we first started this. I didn't really have a plan or thinking ahead. We were just doing it. It's kind of like how we run our business. We just do things. We have guidelines and core values, and we follow those. But there was no plan when we got to 10 episodes, I was surprised. We got to 20 episodes, I was surprised. So.
And isn't there a statistic after like so many episodes, like you just...
Yeah, we read that early on. It was like 6 or 7 was probably like the most common number. So the fact that we got to 50, I think that was like some big deal in the podcast world. Right. That, most podcasts don't make it that long.
And now we all the way to 100.
Maybe we're just too stubborn to...
to quit. Oh, gosh. So... what's the hardest thing about hosting a podcast after 100 amazing episodes?
Well, it's easier now, except the one now that I'm being interviewed today is not so great. But early on, it was simply getting comfortable with the whole concept and being an interviewer. I mean, obviously, if you listen to enough episodes, it's obvious I'm not a professional interviewer by any stretch. And so that was just it, and putting myself kind of out there, then especially when we decided to add YouTube to it.
Yeah. Put your face to it.
Yeah. So that was it. Just getting comfortable with that whole concept. It's not get me really out of my comfort zone.
Gotcha. So, what have you enjoyed the most about hosting a podcast?
Well, that one's easy. Is meeting so many great people. I mean, a lot of our guests I knew beforehand or had met beforehand, but there have been a lot that I didn't meet until they walked in the door that day. And so that has really been, no question, the best part. And, a lot of them I've interacted with since, or we've communicated since. I've had more than one guest bring me a book. Mm-hmm. I just had it happen last week where someone we had as a guest on stopped by to thank us for participating in one of their events. But she dropped me a book off because, one of the things we do, right? I give a book recommendation or a podcast recommendation. And so again, I bet I've got 5 or 6 books that our guests have given us. So no question, it's the people that we've had the opportunity to meet.
Yeah, I've been part of the podcast since episode 63, which was Crowd Out Polio, if I'm not mistaken. And I think since then, just to back up what you said, like I've just, again, met so many people that I didn't really, frankly, know that was a organization like one I remember I literally was holding back tears, The Calling.
Oh yeah. That was a powerful episode for
during the whole entire episode. I was trying to hold back tears, and then just meeting so many people that are actually doing the work that
some of them have been, some of them have been, they've all been enjoyable on some level, but then you have some that are just much more impactful or more emotional. Or Remembering Austin is another one that, was super just emotional and impactful for me. And some of them, they're talking about some heavy subjects. I mean, we're not just in here talking about one. We're not just in here talking about Boys and Girls Club, right? It's some of those topics are pretty legit, as I like to say.
And sometimes it's hard just to talk about them in general.
Sure.
So, what do you like most about Gaston County, and why do you have so much passion to improve this area or to make such a difference or an impact on this area?
I realized right before we started recording that's kind of a question I didn't really think about much. So, I live here. I've grown up here. Our business is here. Our families are here. Our kids have grown up here. So, and I don't know that I'm a natural optimist, but I want to be. So I think that, and I'm in a position, and we have an opportunity with not just with our company, but with our church, with organizations I'm involved with, to make a difference. And the people are great here. I've traveled enough around the country and a few places out of the country that Gaston County is just unique, and it's because of the people. That question that we always ask people, why is Gaston County such a great place? And that's the most common answer that we've heard is the people. So I think it's just, why not? If I'm going to live here and forever, until someone else, the big guy, decides it's time for me to go somewhere else, I'm going to try to make.
Rachel's running the business by then,
maybe
because of our impact on her.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. She may never come back here again.
No, she's definitely going to come back. She almost quit school. I'm just letting you know. She said she would. Okay. So just switching gears a little bit, that was a lot about, Gaston's great, things like that. Now we're going to get into some different questions, some questions people haven't heard.
Yeah, I can't wait.
We're learning about the host today, so... are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I am absolutely an introvert.
Yes, Jesus. So am I. So
that's why this wears me out so much.
Yeah.
Doing these episodes each week. But it's been good, yes.
What is your biggest pet peeve? And in parentheses, I said, I need to know, so I do not do it, LOL. So what's your biggest pet peeve?
So probably, and I say probably because I'm not immune to having some pet peeves, and some of them are really trivial things. But probably, as I've matured and experienced life for much longer than the two of you, I would probably say victimhood.
Oh yeah, that's annoying to me.
So what I mean by that is just
that mentality.
The mentality that it's up to somebody else. My success or happiness is controlled by others, and frankly, I'm afraid that of course, it could be just, when I say I want to be an optimist, maybe I'm not, and I'm a cynic, but at heart, and I don't want to be that way. But yeah, I think I've seen more of that over the years. But yeah, just the general, because I believe we live in a country where we have lots of opportunities. Yeah. Do some people have more opportunities than others? Yes, absolutely. But that victimhood mentality that you're always a victim and is not going to get you anywhere, in my opinion. And so that's kind of the best one I could come up with without going down a deeper rabbit hole, maybe.
Yeah, that one's one of mine. I was thinking about this question myself, and it's turn signals. It is turn signals. I can't stand when people don't use turn signals. It drives me nuts. How am I supposed to know where you're going? You know what I'm saying? I should have probably thought of a more in-depth one. So
come on, you got to give her something on the board.
Right.
You got to give her something for that. That's trivial.
It is. I was about to say, I should have probably thought of something more deeper, like victimhood.
No, let's move on.
I was about to say. Maybe next time. So if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
You know, I guess this is cliche-ish probably, but what impact did I make on others? I mean, I think I've read enough, and I'm old enough where I've lost people that are close to me. And so what is the impact we make on others? Ultimately, it's not how much money we make. It's not how many cars we drive. It's not where I live. It's not, those things seem cool when you're younger.
Yeah.
And they are. But did I leave Gaston County and the people I met, were they better off because I was here, because GSM was here, because my family was here, because the organization I'm involved with, or did we leave it better than we found it?
Yeah. That's a good answer, Stephen. Can't even say nothing to it. I mean, woo. So, okay, next question. What does your morning routine look like? I put this in here because you're such a routine person, and I'm just, All
right, so people who know me know I'm involved with a group called F3, and I may bring this up more than once in this, but so my daily weekday routine, and I'm typically up between 4:30 and 5, and I am out exercising or running with my F3 brothers. And just today, we're recording this on Wednesday, August 2nd. So just this morning, I was out at Martha Rivers Park with 7 other F3 guys, and we were doing a little boot camp, and it was great. And so that's 45 minutes to an hour type of workout. And then, I'm here at the office on a normal day. I don't know, anywhere from 6:30 to 7:30, depending on the day and what's going on. And then the thing I try to do most mornings as well is I got 2 devotionals currently that I'm reading. The one's called Radical Wisdom, and the other one's called The Daily Stoic. And I'll journal something related to what I've read, and so that's that's the standard first 2 or 3 hours of my day, and then work kind of dictates
the rest.
Yeah, the rest. But yeah, that is I'm a early to bed guy. I'm reading every night. And I'm the early guy in our house, at my house, as far as bed goes. But I'm also the first up on a typical day. But I that routine is important, and creating those habits has been important and good for me.
Yeah, that's a struggle for me, creating habits. I'm usually the first one to bed and the last one awake. So, yeah.
That's normally not how it goes.
I know.
But I hear you. Okay.
So we all know you love to read and listen to podcasts. How do you make time doing that with everything that you're doing, running a business and, kids, serving on nonprofits? How do you make time for that?
So you have to be intentional about it, and you have to make it important. So we find ways to do the things that are important to us. And I don't know when my real learning and reading started. Within the last 15 years is when I really started picking up reading a lot. And so I already mentioned it. I think that like when I'm in my vehicle or jogging, I am 99% of the time listening to a podcast, and it could be business related, it could be spiritual, it could be personal development. A couple I listen to that are just random, funny, stuff, but it's typically something that is going to enrich my learning in some way. In the books is most nights I'm reading 30 to 45 minutes when I go to bed every single night. Once a week, I actually try to go to lunch. A lot of times I'm intentional about trying to meet people for lunch, whether it's family or somebody in the community. Or yesterday I took there's a family who allowed me to mentor one of their son through confirmation a few years ago, and the family has let me stay in touch with him. And I took him to lunch yesterday. He's getting ready to go to high school, and I took him to lunch, and we talked about his summer and I mean, but at least once a week I try to go to lunch and pretty much I read the entire time. Man. So I'm going to talk about probably reading here in a minute, but so that's just something that has become super important to me, and learning and reading is just one of those things that I try to do on a daily basis.
Oof. Man, that's so hard for me. I don't know
the
what
people,
it is.
I tell you what, that is the people that know me well and I hang out with a lot, that know me, that I read so much. That is probably the most common question I get is how in the world?
Yeah.
Because last night I finished my 38th book of this year. And that doesn't include all the podcasts I listen to, but and so
I have read like one book of the Bible this year.
Mm.
Right. Right. I don't know why it's so hard. It's so hard for me. I got to do better, Steve.
Well, somewhere along the line, I've had some mentors, specifically a guy named Mark Madison, who really got me reading back in the early 2000s, and it took me a few years. And journaling, I could probably credit him for the reading and the journaling that I do. And he's got several books that I've shared with our teams here, or is on this. If you go back and look at all the book lists for our episodes. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, maybe we should put like the book list separately on the website for Gaston's Great that we recommended. I've got all those without having to listen to them, by the way.
I was about to say, well, I have some from episode 63. I have those written down.
Well, I've got the rest of them. I mean, some of them were, we recommend a few podcasts as well. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I kind of rambled on that. So sorry.
No, you're good. So, okay, books, we're already on it. If you had to pick one book that has impacted you the most, what would it be and why?
Okay, so I'm going to, the standard answer for me would be the Bible and the book of Proverbs. But
that's a good one.
That's so...
That's the book I read this year.
For a Christian, that's just the obvious one, right? And Proverbs is probably the book that I've read the most of any of the book. But second to that would be, I'm going to cheat and do two. The first one that really got me on my personal development path and realizing that maybe I wasn't such a great person interacting with others was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a classic one that more than one person, I think, on our podcast has said when I asked them those questions about book recommendations. And then I mentioned Mark Madison, a gentleman who I know personally. He wrote a great book called Freedom from Fear, and it's just how to be a better person. In fact, that's what I gave to the young man that I am mentoring. Well, I took lunch yesterday. That's what I gave him. I give him a couple books a year. I'm trying to get the young, especially the young men that are in my life, my son, people here at GSM, other people I'm involved in the community, trying to get them to read more. But boy,
with all social media and all that, it's kind of hard to shift gears.
It's a tough sell. But those two are ones I would recommend strongly if you're going to get into that type of reading.
Okay. So, books covered, podcast.
Well, obviously.
Gaston's great.
But I say that, we kind of say that jokingly, but you know what? It has had the biggest impact on me because of the people I've met and as far as an individual podcast. But if I was going to name one that I listen to on a weekly basis, I would probably say Jocko podcast. Jocko Willink is a former Navy SEAL who has a whole brand, and but he has it's literally called Jocko podcast, and I probably listen to him every single week. And then next would be Ramsey Solutions, or Dave Ramsey has a great podcast called Entree Leadership, which is, but Jocko is probably the one that really got me interested in listening to podcasts consistently. They're just long.
Oh man!
You have to be patient to get through some of them. So I don't listen to every single one of his because they're so long, but they're extremely impactful.
I need like a 10-minute podcast, and then I'll be good.
You can find those.
I can? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've asked this. This is probably my favorite question, and Steven's probably rolling his eyes at me right now every episode. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
So, I've had the great fortune of hearing basically 99, actually more than 99, because some of the episodes we've had 2 or 3 people on. So I don't know, I bet 140 to 150 answers to this question. And I'm not going to get philosophical on this one. I'm just going to say, I would say read more earlier.
That's a hard one for me to take in.
I get it. I know. I get it. You know, so that's one reason I work so. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to convince younger people to read more, or or listen to podcasts, or listen to audiobooks, something.
Right.
Because there's just so much to learn, and I've learned more in the past 15 years than I did, for sure, in my formal education, even through college. So creating that habit of reading and doing things to learn other things besides, because I do see so much time wasted in my view on social media and the interwebs. I mean,
I'm a part of it. I can't even lie.
I will get sucked in about 9 months ago. One of the best things I personally have done is I took social media off my phone. I mean, it's still on my desktop, but man, taking it off my phone was, what's the word? Freeing, yeah. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, it is in a way, because I don't have as many reasons to pick it up.
Yeah.
And look at it.
Well, I seen someone, they turn their phone into grayscale so it wouldn't be as enjoyable to them.
And of course, I don't have any. The only notifications I have is if my phone rings or I get a text. I have no other notifications on my phone. I got
like 300 gajillion. It's a struggle.
Notifications are evil wrought by evil
lying.
People.
You ain't lying.
even when I had social media on my phone, I had 0 notifications. So I was never notified if something.
Nobody liked your picture on Facebook. Nothing.
No.
Ugh, I need to turn mine off then. All right. Well, we're gonna switch gears one more time, and these are the signature questions of Gaston's Great. Or most of them. There might be a few different ones in here. So first, favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Boring.
Yes. It's terrific.
Sundrop or Cheerwine?
Cheerwine. I used to be a Sundrop person until I gave it up for Lent one year. When I tried to go back and drink it, I couldn't do it.
I feel like Cheerwine tastes like medicine. That's just me? Yeah. Okay.
Are you?
I'm just saying.
Why do we allow her to even do this?
I know. I don't know why I'm hosting today.
Cheerwine.
Okay, what was the last TV or online series you streamed?
The one that we completely finished recently was Ted Lasso. Strongly recommend it.
Ted Lasso?
Even if you're not a soccer fan.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of leadership lessons, a lot of just really, really good lessons if you can step back and pay attention. It's funny, but there's all the great lessons in it as well.
I played soccer, and I'm not a soccer fan, so yeah. Favorite outdoor activity? In Gaston County, actually.
Are these even legit answers I should be given? If you don't like Cheerwine, you don't like soccer.
I don't. I think it's just soccer's just too much physical activity.
So I guess you're not paying attention to the Women's World Cup that's going on right now either.
I seen an advertisement, and it was a cool advertisement. I was like, good job marketing. That was great. But besides that, no.
Okay, so favorite outdoor activity. So I've already mentioned F3. So I am doing something outside with my F3 group 5 to 6 times a week. And so that's, without a doubt, that's my favorite activity. But be specific, probably hiking Crowder's Mountain, that kind of thing is something that I haven't done in a while. But I'm outside so much with that group that we're in parks and neighborhoods and
Y'all are at Martha Rivers a lot, aren't you?
Yeah, twice a week we're typically at Martha Rivers. And so anyway.
So what is something very few people know about you?
What is something very few people know about me?
Dun, dun,
well, people that really know me well know this, and even some people here at work, but I may have answered this before or made this comment, but I have seen the band Rush in person 28 times.
More than I've been alive again, Stephen.
Yeah, so and another side note to that is my first concert and my son's first concert were both Rush, but they were probably 30 years apart.
Oh, wow.
Actually, may have been longer than that, actually. 1984 to 2015. So, yeah, it was 31 years apart.
Dang. Don't hate me and don't fire me. I don't know who Rush is.
Can we just stop the camera, stop the recording? I'm
going to listen to them for you, though, so I can keep my job.
So, every day for the rest of this year, every single day, I'm going to send you
a Rush song.
A Rush song, yes.
See, I can do music.
If you listen to the lyrics, your life will be better.
Okay.
Neil Peart is one of the greatest lyric writers of all time.
Well, I like music. I just don't, it's usually just about Jesus.
We need to that's like 3 things we need to add to our applications to work here should be NC State fan, Star Wars fan, and a Rush fan.
I have one of the 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Amy has 0.
Well,
I have failed as a leader here at GSM.
Let's just back our stuff up. So, if you could have coffee with one historical figure, who would it be and why?
Well, I've always been intrigued with military stuff, and especially the starting of how our country got started. And I've read a lot and viewed a lot of historical stuff about the Revolutionary War in that time period, and I would have to say I could pick 5 or 6 of those involved, but I'm going to say Benjamin Franklin.
Yep.
And Amy thought she was going to get me. Who do you think it was going to be?
I thought it was, he said Thomas Jefferson before.
Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Jefferson would be on the top of that list too, but Benjamin Franklin was just such an interesting character. I've read a couple of biographies about him, and he was just involved in so many different things, and some of his thoughts about dealing with people, and he was almost a stoic in a lot of ways. That's something I've been studying a lot the last couple of years as well. So he was just a super interesting guy, and I would love to sit down and be able to ask him a lot of questions, as I would anybody that was involved in that time period.
Man, all right. Well, I don't like coffee, so I'd have to have like a Coca-Cola or something, but Well.
But no cheer wine.
No cheer wine. It'd be like, I don't know if it'd be Coca. It'd probably be Pepsi.
So what is that you're drinking now?
It's called Electrolyte. Whenever I talk a lot, I feel like I lose all the juice in my mouth.
You had it sitting perfect, like a good marketer I thought you had like the label toward the camera. So.
Oh, no. Oh, I didn't even know it had one on the back. Yeah. It's really good if you're dehydrated.
I'm drinking water just for the record.
I don't drink water like I should, so I have to drink a little extra power. So, yeah. Well,
so are we done yet?
I think so. I think you had some final thoughts before the last question, or do I need to ask the last question?
So, what is the last question? It is, what does the future of Gaston's Great look like?
Yep. And what do you hope it looks like?
Well, we have been discussing what we're going to do going forward. In 100 episodes, we've had, again, a lot of great, surprising success, more listeners and viewers than I ever could imagine. I think even, recently, I don't remember, was it Aaron's Good Girl Dog Treats? I mean, just your Instagram short that you put on there had like 600 views or something.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just surprising, but I think it's a testament to the people here in Gaston County and the good things that are happening. So we are going to take a little bit of a break, I think, for, a month or 2. And we are going to continue with Gaston's Great. It might look a little different. Yeah. We're not going to, maybe it's not going to the exact same format. It's not going to be the same questions probably. When we have a nonprofit or a group that's doing something good in the community that we can get on, we're still going to do that. But we might do more things like talking about events in the community, or talk to individuals who are doing good things in the community, or talk about leadership in general, or business, or just maybe a little shorter format. I know there's been a few episodes that probably got a little long-winded because,
people are passionate.
Yes, people are passionate. That's how we roll, and we sure didn't want to limit anyone, what they were discussing, what they were talking about. So, I mean, it could be all kinds of things that but again, still, we do feel strongly, though, to still focus on our area in Gaston County. I mean, it doesn't mean we might not have somebody on that maybe doesn't live here anymore. I don't know. Maybe be from Gaston County. Who knows? So that's kind of what the plan is. But we're here in the middle of summer here at GSM, where we're super busy. Very fortunate that. Yep. But so this will be released August 10th, I think. And so maybe look to hear another new episode, maybe sometime in early October. Is probably the time frame is what we're shooting for. But again, please continue to look for us on social media. We're going to continue being active there between now and that time, and we will be back maybe Naomi will be the host and interviewer going forward. I don't know.
Or we could co-host,
We'll see.
I'm too nervous. I don't know. I was nervous today.
I couldn't tell.
Oh, well, praise God.
You didn't sound any more country than normal.
I feel like I did. I was like, ooh, that's a little strong right there, girl.
Oh, boy. So y'all really are in all seriousness, y'all are the ones that kind of make this happen.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to add to that from either one of y'all when we talk about what we're going to be doing next?
I mean, if anybody, like we've asked before, has any ideas, people, places, Yeah,
that's a great point, because we have kind of focused on organizations more so than individuals. But if there's even an individual, the one thing that we the only requirement, or I will say, is we are intentional about trying to avoid politics.
Yeah.
Especially the next year. It's going to be interesting here, and that's something we just don't want to get into that. And I'm going to put it this way: I don't want to get into those type of discussions. My experience is that not much positive can come out of that, when in politics in general. But that's just my view. So, but yeah, if you have an individual doing something great here in the community, an event coming up, we may even try to do a better job of maybe talking about events or posting events on our social media that are coming up that might be worth checking out here in our community. So yeah, just let us know. I mean, the website is still podcast@gastonsgreat.com. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Email. What did I say?
The website.
Website, sorry. Yeah. Website's gastonsgreat.com, sorry. Yeah. You would think after 100 episodes I would get that right. The email is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yep.
That's it? No Pinterest?
Nah.
Do people actually are y'all on Pinterest?
I actually am, but it's not for podcasts. It's for like food.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Pinterest.
Food and design. Yeah. But that's it.
In fact, I just had the Jocko, I mentioned Jocko podcast. The Jocko podcast this week had a guy on there who's currently, I think, the CEO of CrossFit. But he was previously the CEO of Pinterest. Yeah.
That's like two different.
He's a former Marine.
Oh, wow.
He worked for Google, Facebook, and then Pinterest. And now he's the CEO of. So that's one reason I like Jocko podcast. He talks about military stuff, but then they talk about business. Yeah. So it's really a lot of different subjects.
And that's the cool thing about how we're heading too, is it won't just be catered to guests. It's great. Just nonprofits. We can highlight people, places, and kind of give us a wider variety too. So, yeah.
So is there anything else for the good of Gaston's Great in Gaston County? Because I'm going to finish. I do have a quote that I
was going to say. Take it away, sir.
Normally I do a book recommendation, but you know what? It's hard to come up with 100 books or podcasts that might be worth something to our readers. So I don't have a book this week, even though I did finish a couple this past week. But I've got a quote from Brene Brown. If you're interested in leadership, she's maybe considered a guru in our modern contemporary guru on leadership, similar to John Maxwell. But she has a quote on integrity. And I thought it would be a good one to finish off the 100th episode on. Integrity is choosing courage over comfort, choosing what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy, and choosing to practice our values rather than simply professing them. That's a hard one, because there's things that you might want to ignore, but you can't if you're living a life of integrity. Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to go through our normal whole
the spiel
that I do at the end of each episode, but Naomi and Amy are really the ones that drive this and do all the work behind the scenes that make it happen. I just show up here in front of the microphone every now and then, and please continue to subscribe. Please share the podcast. Send us any topics or any suggestions for topics, and we will continue to attempt to share information and talk about all the reasons why Gaston is great. So we're briefly back because Amy is so out of practice of doing this that she didn't do the closeout music or anything. She just hit stop.
So take two.
We're going to try this once more, and maybe episode 101 will be better than the ending of episode 100. So please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.